So tell us about them.
Alright, so if anyone missed it, you should go back and watch yesterday's stream game. Did we literally just go live?
Yeah, I think it just went.
Alright, well, welcome everyone to another Hangout and Hobby session. I am John Lennon, joined today by Richard Siegler. We're here to hang out, talk 40k, talk smack a little bit, and just have a good time while we paint. Hopefully help inspire you to do some hobby while we catch up on our own. What are you going to be working on today, Mr. Siegler?
Finishing those Immortals for Thursday's War Room game, in which I'm playing against Nick Nanavati's Death Guard.
Mm-hmm.
Should be really exciting, because, frankly, very impressed by the Immortals the last time, and I think they're going to be great into Death Guard as well.
Yeah, well, I just want to see Death Guard versus Necrons in general. You know, we've seen both of these armies have a pretty good amount of success on our stream, but put them into each other, something's got to give. I'm very excited to see that one.
We'll see what mission we roll, because we actually both want one of those center objective, 5 objective missions.
Do you?
I mean, I definitely do.
You do, even against the...
Yeah.
You think you're just going to kill the Death Guard off it anyway?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, then maybe...
Almost all my guns are AP2, and then I have a big brick of Lich Guard that picks up infinite amount of Death Guard units.
The big brick of Lich Guard, folks. You got to watch out for it.
Absolutely deadly. Why is it so good into Death Guard? Because the Silent King is there, and he charges in, makes it fight last, and then I don't care about the Foul Blight Spawn aura.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just becomes -1 attack at that point, essentially, right?
-1 attack?
You don't get an extra attack on the charge. You get
no,
an extra
I get
AP.
extra 1 AP, but I'm AP3 already.
Yeah, that's
so
funny.
They're taking the invul, so it's not a huge deal for the Lich Guard.
Not bad at all. I like it.
I really love them.
Yeah, that should be a very exciting matchup. I'm really curious to see how the Death Guard deal with the Silent King. Can they deal with the Silent King?
Oh, John, you put it on members only. That's why.
Oh.
Okay.
How did I do that?
Can we switch it after going live?
That's the worst.
I don't know if we can switch it, frankly.
Ugh. Womp, womp, womp.
I don't think we can. Visibility, public, please work. Let's see if that worked. That did work. Okay.
It did?
All right.
All right, we're back, folks. That very brief discussion for anyone who's watching this after the fact. Lol.
See, that's a little behind the scenes sneak peek.
Yep. This is what happens when Siegler's busy right before the thing starts. John tries to push the buttons, and you get 50% there.
Almost. Even more than 50%.
More than 50%.
It just happened to be one of the most important parts.
I don't know how that happened.
But I'm going to go ahead and post this in the war room for all our members.
Absolutely.
Make sure they know to come and join us.
Mm-hmm. Come have a good time. Right on.
But
we excited for that YouTube game tomorrow.
Frankly, we just revealed every single secret about Tyranids and Necrons in those last 10 minutes, so...
Absolutely. No, we didn't. There's a lot of Tyranids to talk about still. We will talk about these Tyranids. You know, Nick's excited about Tyranids now. Yeah,
I heard he wants to run them right in the future.
Yep.
Maybe something like Knights.
Yeah. That's what I want. That's what I want. Tyranids into Knights. That would be so bad. I don't think that would work in any of the ways that Nick would want it to.
When are we going to get to see these Knights, John?
Literally as soon as they're on, as soon as we want to schedule them, they're going to be ready by next week.
All right.
This is the last set of legs. I've already got 2 of the torsos done. There's not a lot left to do with the Knights, so I'm excited to get them on the stream as soon as we can.
We did make last week's schedule, so probably the following week.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to get them in this week, but I understand. We'll get these Knights up soon, though.
You can play them into my Grey Knights.
You know what? Maybe I will. I'll do that.
Nick was like, "Is that a game?" And I was like, "Maybe." Probably not, because
you know what?
Silencers are silly.
High toughness is high toughness. Weight of dice sometimes does.
Do you have access
sometimes
to -1
doesn't.
wound?
What? Knights?
Don't Chaos Knights have a?
No, it's not a thing.
They just have T9.
Yeah, they can do T9, but pretty sure that you don't get negatives to wound on a knight.
Maybe there's a chance now for Nick to win me over.
By playing with Tyranids?
Oh, I mean, I think he means to beat my Necrons.
Ooh.
We will see. I mean,
who's saying that? Who's trying to get one over by
That's Andreas.
I don't know. It's a tall order for Mr. Nick. But you know what? His Death Guard have been very impressive so far.
They have been. I've been feeding him the lesser factions. Now it's time for the Silent King to reign upon Nick.
We'll see if it works.
I think it will work. I'm pretty confident.
Siegler is feeling good. Well, definitely going to be one to watch. I'm going to be watching that from behind the camera. So
And answering all your questions.
And answer all the questions. So if you want to see whether or not Siegler's confidence is misplaced, perhaps, or if he's right, we will find out tomorrow. I'm excited to see it, though. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, 2 top-tier factions. We named them 2 of the top 5 armies.
Easily, yeah. I would easily put them both top 5.
Yeah.
It's just good to see the Necrons on the table. I don't mind that. They're good.
I'm glad that you've come around to the Necrons.
Oh, it's a cool army. I don't think I ever disliked the Necrons. I mean, I hate the Silent King, but that's only because you roll. Yours just performs beyond the law of averages.
That's because he is the king, John. He must
He's
reign.
the king, and therefore I'm allowed to roll 10 out of 10 4-up invulns with no complaints. Okay.
Nick might still actually try and kill him, and that will be his mistake.
You know, if you get him to toughness 6, there are a lot of things that can actually do wounds to him. I'm not saying that's the best plan, but it's
the
something.
4-up invulns, John. That's all I need.
It's all about, yeah, that's true. You know, it doesn't matter how many wounds they cause.
I remember people at the beginning, when the rules first came out, saying that he should have had transhuman, or the Necron equivalent, quantum shielding.
Yeah.
That would have been absolutely insane.
No, thank you.
I would have loved to see it.
No.
Hey guys, are Tyranids legitimate? Absolutely. They are.
I think so.
The Forge World rules really took them into another stratosphere, kind of like Knights. Now, are they the best army in the game? No.
But they're a lot better than they were.
They have some tough matchups still.
Yeah.
But they have real play now.
Yeah. I think Tyranids are very playable, especially, you know, compared to where they were, they're so much better now. I'm not going to put them in my top 3 armies in the game just yet, but they're definitely like an actual contender that I could take to a GT and not feel like I'm wasting my money.
What matchups do you think are the toughest for that?
I actually think Admech.
Admech?
Admech scares me a lot this Tyranids. Because I don't really have Vex since I don't have a Gene Circle detachment. So the Cyber Ponies that can screen for a couple of turns, because you don't need to screen Tyranids for every, you need to screen them long enough. Yeah. That's very scary. As well, they have the very long range firepower that's good at killing Deathwatch, which is really not what I want.
I imagine Sisters or your Imperium soup list too.
That's not ideal. Manticores are very scary, just in general for everyone. So I wouldn't want that. Sisters are a difficult matchup, but it's not unwinnable. Just difficult.
How do you shut down those multi-meltas?
Oh, you don't. You
just accept it and try and get into them.
You try to be at a point where you're not in range of the multi-meltas, and you go directly from that point to in close combat with them. And then the multi-meltas come out, and they're going to hurt. And then you need to kill the multi-meltas the second they come out. But you do have Hive Guard, which is very important for keeping things.
Sisters don't have easy access.
Sisters don't have easy indirect. And you normally have enough bodies in a turned list to prevent Repentia from just coming and wiping out a Hive Guard unit. Is the idea, at least. And
Manticores are only AP 2, so you could potentially just be ignoring their AP. Still, 4-ups if every failed save is a dead Hive Guard.
Yeah, and you can have a 3-up in cover. Yeah. And at that point, I would be putting Catalyst on the Hive Guard to deter the Manticores from shooting there, instead of putting it on one of the bugs.
How about Tyranids and Marines?
You know what? I think there's play. The big thing is that actually having a speed advantage on an army like White Scars is just something that the army's like not really built for. Yeah. Like White Scars are designed on the premise of I am the fastest like army at what I do and will beat anyone slower than me at what I do. Tyranids are actually, they're more fragile. You know that there's other elements where Marines are better than Tyranids, of course. You know, Marines are probably a better overall army, but it's worth pointing out. You know, if you are a faster melee army than White Scars, you do put them in an awkward spot, and that would definitely be part of it.
Nice to see some Tyranids whooping on the space elves.
Yeah, that's what I like.
It was great. It was just awesome seeing the Deathwatch. They are death leapers.
They seriously are.
Leaping death.
Don't fear the leaper.
But they're very imposing as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're nice, big, scary models that you just really don't want to just let them have free reign, but they're also kind of hard to stop. So I was very happy with how the Deathwatch played in practice, and they will certainly be seeing a return.
My Megera arrived today, says Adam Lane. Ooh.
Oh, Adam.
Also on the night train.
Absolutely. Glad that someone else is going to be experiencing the joy of painting these things besides me. It takes nights really are taking a lot longer than I was expecting. But you know what? If you don't magnetize and airbrush it, and if you build it all before you paint it, it'll probably go faster.
So Andreas asks, about your Necrons, is the list dialed in like you did with your Tau army back then, or is there something you're switching around? So it is very similar to my Tau list back in 8th edition, where I kind of had a very solid core, and I would only change around a couple small things. So for example, Warzone Atlanta, that year I brought in 3 Pathfinder squads instead of the 2. Other times I went to 0 Pathfinders and just got more big drone units, like a pro tabletop, because it was easier to hide them in those midfield ruins. So it's kind of at the same point of I'm just making small tweaks.
Yeah.
This is actually the list that you're going to see on Thursday is the biggest change that I've made, which is going to even more Immortals. So that's a bit different, but it gives me more units overall on the board, which I really like.
Yeah, 100%. I support this change fully. I always had my fears about the warrior bricks, where specifically I thought that if you actually went into a long-range shooting army, you would just not be able to do remotely close to enough. And you could just potentially get taken apart. So I like that the Immortals give you an extra element there.
Yeah, it's especially because of the change with Dark Angels and Death Guard.
Mm-hmm.
Both armies you want to engage at range primarily, help whittle down. I think it's really nice to have that 30-inch range.
100%. I can see it.
I'm still running one of the warrior bricks in the list. I'm not going to have 50 Immortals done, so still running 20 warriors, but I really do like that with Veil of Darkness.
Yeah.
It's still a major threat, and it gives you easy access to 40 shots, 6s, or auto
If you need
wounded.
one,
Yeah.
I do like the big warrior brick still. I personally like 20 warriors, 40 immortals. That's kind of what I like from some of the Necron test lists I've been writing myself,
And
just to keep up with the times.
not sure if I'm actually going to run Anarchy or not. I
Blasphemy.
don't know if he's actually that worth it.
Oh, I love Anarchy.
He is cool. He's 140 points, so you can almost get another Immortal squad by dropping 2 Scarabs.
Mm-hmm.
That's very tempting. 10 Immortals just feels better. More useful in more matchups.
Anarchy, though.
I feel like if you go for but I still like the 10 Lich Guard brick. I feel like if you have that, you don't really need Anarchy as much. And I have the Lord to get them up to 50 attacks. So, I don't know. I think I probably won't end up running him. He does have a Tachyon arrow, and I'm totally behind the Tachyon arrow.
I personally
Ruining
like
my streams.
Anarchy a lot, so I want to see him. I want to see him on the stream.
You guys stopped streaming on Twitch. We did indeed switch in the new year fully over to YouTube, which has, in the November and December, we had done kind of half and half. YouTube was outperforming Twitch, and then since we've made the change, the channel has grown tremendously.
Yep.
So, thanks to all of your support. So, YouTube has been really good to us. We're almost at 10K subs, which means we can apply for preview copies from Games Workshop, which will let us get those reviews out much earlier to you.
That's the
Sean
dream
and
right
I have
there.
been on the review train for a while. But,
Yep. I'd love to get a head start on it.
coming up this Friday is going to be our Dark Angels review, and then next week, how to beat Dark Angels.
Ooh.
We've recorded
Beat
those
Dark
a
Angels.
couple of days ago.
It's impossible, Siegler. Beating Dark Angels is impossible. The internet told me.
Well, especially if you bring the Super Chaplain, right, John?
Especially with the super chainsword chaplain.
I got so many questions about the Super Chaplain after that one stream that we did. It's like,
Yeah.
he was good. Is he necessary? I'm skeptical on that.
What if you take a librarian and go with the librarian's discipline so you can cast Might of Heroes on him?
That's what you need. That's what changes my opinion on him.
That's what you need, a librarian's discipline.
Especially not taking Ezekiel.
No, of course not. Not Ezekiel.
Can I ask, when you prepare for a tournament, do you still play so many different factions and lists, or stay with the same one to become familiar with it? So the requirements of streaming are very different from practicing for tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
So each of us basically plays 5 or 6 different armies, and every couple of weeks we rotate into the army, so we at least stay fresh on it, especially if there's new rules for it. But that's really not how to win like LVO. You really want 20, 30 plus reps with a single list. And that's, if there were tournaments, we'd be doing a lot more private practice games.
Yep.
With our tournament
Yeah,
list.
and I still do some private practice games just to make sure I'm staying sharp beyond the stream games. But definitely, if you're going for a tournament, I like to really focus in on my army, or at least the concept. Like, it doesn't have to be my exact. Like, if I were bringing White Scars to LVO, I wouldn't necessarily need to play 40 games with that White Scar list, but I would want to be. If I'm making any changes, I don't want to be testing out the different concepts.
It's about, all right, let's put White Scars into, the typical Necron list. Let's put it into a typical
Death Guard. Let's see how I can do into all these
See it
different
into
things.
Dark Angels. So
These are the questions.
Yep. when tournaments are going to happen again, John and I are going to be in full prep mode.
Oh, absolutely. I'm very excited for that.
We did a crazy amount of prep for almost all the big tournaments the previous season.
And I'm ready to do it again. I miss it. But maybe by the summer we'll be doing stuff again.
Especially team tournaments. Evening, chaps. As much as I love you guys, what happened to Nick on the paint streams? Miss his Viper building masterclass. We miss it too. Nick has never been the biggest hobbyer out there.
Nope.
But we actually just started Art of War as an official company in Florida, so there's been a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we've had to work on. So I've been helping out with that, but Nick is actually doing even more errands for that today.
Nick is being a busy boy. So even if he's not here, we promise he is going to be back. And if he's not here, it's because he has work to do.
He was actually going to be on the paint stream today, but something had come up.
Yep. And I still have things to work on. And Nick has gotten to the point where he no longer wants to hobby. He now wants to pay me to do it for him. Which is great, which might be how the Harlequin army finally gets painted.
No, we can't have that.
No, we're negotiating prices, actually. He's like, John, I want you to airbrush the Harlequin army. I'm like that's not something I'm doing for free.
Yeah. But he will be back, don't worry.
He will be back. We will get Nick in here. Maybe, tell you what, let's make him do it on Monday.
Yeah.
It's been a while since Nick's been on here. We'll see if we can drag Nick back to you on Monday.
Does he have to wear the pizza time glove of it?
Only when he's painting.
Only when he's painting.
What if that actually helps him build?
It probably would.
It cannot hurt. It physically can't.
Based on how well it allowed him to roll in that game.
Yeah, seriously.
The pizza time glove is magic.
Mm-hmm. That's what he gets.
Do you think we will see a redo of the other Marine supplement books by the end of the year?
End of the year, I would personally doubt it. In the future, certainly.
Yeah, I think we will eventually see them. Now, Games Workshop loves Space Marines.
They do.
And if there is another wave of Primaris stuff out there, you're gonna bet it's gonna come with some Space Marine rules.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen anything, so
my guess
probably not.
My very uneducated, because I know in Games Workshop will tell me anything. It's probably because I haven't signed an NDA. But my guess is that we're going to get like a Black Templar supplement, because that's the last of the indexes on their website, and a Grey Knight book, because like Games Workshop can't go too long without releasing some kind of Marine rules. Like that's just the way of the world. I would love it if we just like focused on Chaos and Xenos for the next 10 months, but I'm guessing that they're going to be like, well, we can't do too many Xenos in a row, so let's throw like a Grey Knight book in the middle, and then we'll throw like a Black Templar book in. And then maybe a Chaos Space Marine book, because that's close enough to Space Marines. I don't know what they're going to do. And maybe we'll get all of that by the end of the year. But I would like to think that they're going to do Grey Knights and Black Templars before they start doing like Ultramarines 2.0, Iron Hands 2.0, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That would be a hope. Please, Games Workshop. Please don't touch my White Scars. I'm so happy with them.
The White Scars are going to pay for sins.
What? What sins? White Scars aren't committing sin. That's just me. Will John pay for his sins? We're going to try to avoid it as long as we can. We'll put that off.
That's why John doesn't want to play him on stream.
That's exactly why. It's like, all right, I know what they do. No one else needs to know. Games Workshop, please do not notice the White Scar behind the curtain.
Good evening, guys. Would you consider the Dark Angels to be a good competitive army or just a very good casual fluff play? They are one of the best armies in the game.
Yeah, competitive.
They are very strong competitively. They have a kind of lower skill floor. Is just their baseline stuff is very strong compared to a lot of the meta.
Sure are.
So, Marines are powerful. Dark Angels got a bunch of buffs that put them a tier above basic Marines.
If you want to be competitive and you like Dark Angels, it's a good month for you.
This is the best time.
This is the best time to do it. As always, I always recommend that perhaps you don't paint them as a specific chapter. It's a personal preference. Do something generic that you can use for other chapters. Because one day, Ultramarines will be the best Space Marine again. And maybe Raven Guard will be the best Space Marine again. What's funny is that I think in the past 2 years, I could make an argument for every Space Marine chapter to have been the best chapter at some point.
Black Templars?
Except Space Wolves.
Black Templars?
They're not. Okay, fine. I was thinking like the main 9.
Okay, the main 9.
Of the main 9, I think I could have argued for any one of them to be the best chapter at a given point except Space Wolves.
Yeah.
Like, even Raven Guard were like...
Yeah, they were very, very powerful.
Very, very powerful at certain points.
They still have very good rules.
They do. Iron Hands obviously had their moment. Dark Angels, you can argue right now. Last month I would have said White Scars 100%.
Imperial Fist Artillery.
Imperial Fists had a very brief window in December where everyone thought they were the best.
And we made
Then the Breviathan came out.
We made Nick think they were the best as well. He was trying to counter Imperial Fists, and we
beautiful. So we just nope.
Pulled the wool right over his eyes.
In hindsight, that's less impressive than we thought at the time.
Yeah.
Turns out.
What are your thoughts on running Illuminor Szeras in a Novak list? Not being able to control what buff he gives seems a wash with all the other melee buffs. Frankly, I really wish he had a reroll on that, or he had some way to manipulate it.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, he's 160 points. He does have access to a good Warlord trait, -1 damage, and he has a decent gun on him. He's okay in combat. He's 160 points, so he's 20 points more than Anrikir, which is really what he's competing with. Do you want the extra attack bonus? Do you prefer any of these extra bonuses that Illuminor could give? The +1 strength, the +1 ballistic skill, or the +1 toughness?
Nice.
And then he's a master technomancer on top of that, so he can pick 2 units, bring a mortal back, bring a lich guard back. That's solid.
That's really not bad, actually.
It's not bad. So I've been thinking about him. Mark Perry has my Illuminor Szeras. I need him down here so I can paint him.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to see him this Thursday, but maybe in future weeks. I do actually want to test him out.
Yeah, that actually sounds really cool. I'd love to see that in action.
I think he's actually... I wish he was 20 points cheaper. It would be pretty reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
But
I just love the model and I want to see it.
the model is awesome.
It's one of the best models Games Workshop has created recently.
But I think he fits the best in these immortal style builds.
Yeah. Yeah, potentially healing a Lich Guard after you do do you have would you do a Res Orb as well?
You do the Res Orb first, and then you bring an extra model back.
Oh, that's so
Oh, John, you got him down to 2. Res Orb, bring an extra dude back. That's powerful.
It's so not what I had in mind or wanted.
But he can also give them the extra toughness as well.
Yep, no, I see why that's not fun.
Now, it will really suck if you roll +1 ballistic skill on them.
Because might well be done.
Well, it's ballistic skill, not weapon skill.
Yeah. I mean,
it could have been either.
It helps with negative modifiers, but it's not great.
No, ballistic skill on Lich Guard.
Oh, on Lich Guard.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying.
I thought you meant on the Immortals. Yeah.
No, you roll it on Lich. It's fine on the Immortals. That's not actually bad.
It's
but you roll it on the Lich Guard, and you're like, it could have been any of the other 2. A third of the time, you're going to roll +1 ballistic skill on them.
Does he just do 1 unit a turn?
Unless he kills something in combat, kills a model in combat, then he gets to do it again immediately.
But it has to target a new unit still.
Yeah, it targets a unit that hasn't been targeted yet. But
I figured you couldn't just keep whacking the same unit until you get the not ballistic skill.
Yeah,
just ballistic skill every time. Dang it. Need a lot of markers to keep track of that.
How to beat Dark Angels? The first never fails or never falls.
They're no, absolutely not. Dark Angels are a tough nut to crack, but we've got some ideas, and there will be a YouTube video coming out.
Yep, next week.
And you can get early access to that video if you're a member of the channel, right?
Yep. Right now, our Dark Angel Codex review is up there for members.
All right. So if you want to see the Codex review, you can already get access to that just by becoming a member.
And on top of that, you get all the sub badges and emotes.
The emotes are my favorite.
I mean, you get the John Heroic Intervention.
And what else could you want in life?
Come on.
What else, indeed, could you ever ask for?
Grandfather Mark.
Makari Nick. I like how we got a Makari Nick, and then he just didn't play Orcs again ever. No.
That's because the last time he didn't bring Makari and got absolutely curb stomped.
That's what happens when you don't bring Makari. It's like disrespecting the mitten. You just have to know better. You don't diss Makari. You don't mess around with the mitten.
Nick disrespecting the mitten was
utterly foolish. Yeah, utterly foolish.
We reported into the nearest Inquisitor. $5 super chat from Cloud Mode Groiper. Thank you so much. What was a worse blunder? Azurman dying to a Taunar or removing the almighty Oven Mitt? It was, in fact, both of them at the same time.
No, it was the Oven Mitt.
It was both.
I mean, the Taunar removed Azurman from existence. He's actually...
he's actually dead.
He's dead in the canon. You can look it up on Lexicon, 40k Wiki, whatever you want to look up. Azurman died.
He is...
Yep. And he's not coming back.
He is a shell of armor.
Yep. Empty, waiting for someone to reclaim him. But I don't think it's going to happen again.
But the Pizza Time Oven Mitt?
The pizza's here, man.
Pizza's
here.
You cannot disrespect the pizza.
I Every time Nick takes off the pizza mitt, he has to buy his pizza. And this is the rule. And I go, all right, Nick, order us up some pizza here.
I wish we had the pizza mitt for those Grey Knight games.
Oh my god. Absolutely. It would be glorious, it really would.
I'll give up Astral Aim if you wear the pizza mitt for the whole game.
Oh my god. And Nick tried to take it off once. He tried to take it off like right after he rolled the dice. He like put it on, re-rolled the charge, like took it off.
Yeah, it was rolling amazing. John had failed all his psychic powers.
Yep, I failed every psychic power. Nick did 11 wounds in one like psychic phase because of the ridiculous Mirror of Minds. I love that spell so much. It's just like a derpy.
It's like the GSC spell.
It's like the GSC spell.
But it was absolutely heresy of the highest order.
Yeah,
and Nick was suitably punished by the Deathwatch.
Oh my god, was he? Was he ever, folks? Some things are just beautiful.
That's good to hear. I've put the hobby on the back burner since COVID began, so massively out of the loop. Glad to have found you guys here, though. Well, glad that you are still following our channel. Thank you so much, Rich. What does your knight's army consist of?
Ooh, this is really simple. There are 2 units. There are 3 Knights Megara, and 2 units, 1 unit of 3 and 1 unit of 1 Warglaive. All the lovely Warglaives. So it's 4 Warglaives, 3 Knights Megara. That brings you to 1980, and then I just bought a Meltagun for all of the Warglaives. Because hey, 5 points.
There's no easy options for knights.
Nope, but you got to do something. You don't actually have to, but I choose to do something. And
you should just play 20 points down to be like, this is...
Be the flex. Yeah. Yep, it's 1980. Reserve points for no reason.
I don't need these points.
No, I like having Meltagons. Like I don't think the stubbers like really contribute much.
No.
But just getting an extra Meltagun shot. Because honestly, I'm going to be aggressive. Now, I actually have a choice. I could have 3 Warglaives and 1 Helverin, or I could have 4 Warglaives where they all have Meltagons.
I feel like the Warglaives are just better.
Yeah, me too.
Pushing things off objectives.
I would agree.
Because you really need them for board control, too, and help clear little units.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I've been going with the Warglaives. But, you know, you can make an argument for a Helverin in certain metas.
Competitive players giving their models some painting love. I like this. Doing our best. I paint most of my armies, especially the ones I use in tournaments. So all the Tau stuff that you saw is painted by me. I've been slowly building up the Necron collection. I've painted a good amount of those Blood Angels and Admech as well.
Yeah, I try to paint all my own armies as well. And you know what? I have not always fielded the best looking armies in the game. However, I do make a genuine effort to get all my armies up to standard eventually. And you know what? If nothing else, I've had downtime recently. So and in the COVID time, we are working on it.
When John puts the time and the effort in, it looks very good.
Mm-hmm. It's slow, but we get there.
The Brood Brothers on the GSC army?
That was, I mean, how fast do you want me to paint 120 models? Like, I can get them done, or I can get 10 of them pretty.
Free Nick. He'll be back, don't worry.
Nick will be back. We haven't done anything too horrible with him.
We just
the D. McCarrans have.
Nick was talking up Tyranids the whole morning.
Mm-hmm. You know, he wants to play them. He's like, so John, what if we bought a Harridan? I'm like, Nick, what are you doing?
Or the Hierophant.
No, the Harridan's so much better.
The Harridan?
Harridan's much better. It's 150 points cheaper and it flies, and it's the same guns. It just loses the transport capacity of gaunts.
Which you don't need.
Yeah, I don't care about that.
How many gaunts can it fit in?
Admittedly, like 30.
So you could put a whole Devour unit in there.
You know, now, when you put it like that, Richard,
yeah,
I kind of want this. Get those gaunts in there.
Here in Spain, team tournaments are the common approach for competitive play. What factions would you pick for a 6-player team?
6-player? So there's so many elements to team picking. Yeah. I always take the players into account because I never end up bringing the best 5 armies that I think. But let's say like we could just get like whoever we wanted on this team. Like we're just getting the best armies we can, and like we've got people who could play it. So I think you go Space Marines. In a team format, do you think you go White Scars or Dark Angels?
I think Marines are one of our take-all-comers lists. We go White Scars.
Okay. I'm fine with that. White Scars. Done. I think Necron's got to make the cut.
Yep.
Nice board control, no walk list, like what Siegler's been running. I'm a big fan of that.
No obvious weaknesses, can go into almost any matchup.
Yeah. If you got a good pilot on it, I'm confident
once again,
there.
A more take-all-comers list.
Yeah, so we got 2 there.
Yep.
As far as I really like Sisters of Battle still.
Yep.
I think pure Sisters of Battle are making it in there, so that's my top 3. Probably need at least 1 Chaos.
Do pure sisters, not sisters and custodies?
I would actually rather do Sisters and Guard.
Sisters
However, the thing is that I'm leaving open the option of Guard and Custodies. Because I think of those 3 armies, Sisters do pure the best.
Yeah.
I think I would do Custodies and Guard and Sisters in there. For the Chaos faction, as good as Death Guard is, I'm worried that it has a couple of counters if you do the traditional build. So I would really need to think about how, like, what kind of counters people are going to have for Death Guard and how ready for it they're going to be.
Yeah, the last time we played at a team tournament together, we actually took a very unorthodox Chaos list that was just a speed bully list.
Yep.
It offered something very different from our other lists, and it actually, we got to throw it into matchups that the other list didn't really want to play into.
So Chaos is a weird one for team tournaments because I feel like there's a lot of counters to Chaos.
Yeah, I think we might do something like Matt Marsali's list with the Slanesh and the Demons. Just a
the
very
Beast and
solid...
Nurgle, very solid. Plays the mission very well.
Yep.
And, like, it's a beatable list, but it's very good, and you're never blowing it out.
No, it's going to score
nice
points.
Like I put, like, my tried, tested, I was very confident in this Dark Angel list and had a great turn 1. And I think I won by, like, 4 points. It was less than... I won by less than 5 points. And, like, if you can take that, throw it into a prime Dark Angel list and get an almost draw, man, I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah.
So, maybe, like, that Matt Morrisoli style Chaos list, that's 5. I personally am not actually excited about Harlequins. Honestly. I feel like too many people are starting to get answers to them.
I think just where the game is headed,
since
the Codex has started coming out, it's just headed towards durable board control armies.
And I think Harlequins don't quite pull it off.
No.
They're very strong still. Good for singles play, definitely. Team format, I'm afraid that people are going to have answers for it. So that last one, now this is almost certainly where, like, the player is going to come in. However, I'm going to be honest here. I like, in a team format, having at least one dumb list that people don't see coming so that they don't understand what it does.
Triple Orion.
Like Triple Orion, I've had wonderful success with that list. I would honestly try to get Knights in. It's not a perfect list, but if you have 5 take-all-comer, like, good lists, you can have one list that you need to pair around.
Yeah.
And you can afford to have one list that you work with. But, like, a lot of people are not going to understand what Megaeras do. A lot of people probably don't realize that a single Megaera averages 1 dead keeper on Overwatch. The Overwatch of a Megaera does about 16.5 wounds to a keeper of secrets. No one sees that coming until it happens.
Nobody wants to deal with that.
Nope. And if you don't really appreciate what the army does, and it's beatable, it's Knights. Like, I'm not trying to tell you that it's something it's not, but in a team format, I would actually consider this in the top 6 list.
I'd probably
just because I like having a list like that. What do you think?
I'd probably go Grey Knights, frankly. I think they're another army people are not prepped to play against, certainly not the mass firepower MSU build, and they have the best indirect fire in the game, frankly.
They have very good indirect fire, but
the range of it. Manticores.
Yes. So range is a factor here, though.
Yeah. When you're taking the chaplain, you can get +6 if you need it.
Yeah, you can get 30.
Yeah.
Which is still pretty good.
You just need to clear people off objectives, really.
The Grey Knights is definitely a good army to consider here.
But I also like their sheer amount of mortals that they could put out with the Brother Captain in a meta that's going to have Dark Angels
and Death Guard.
Death Guard around.
I can respect that answer. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not as limited on the terrain setups that they need.
Yeah. Now, singles play is the way to play in the U.S. as far as usual competitive events. However, I prefer team. So, if teams are the way to play in Spain, maybe I don't speak much Spanish. It's been a couple of years. Maybe it's something that we need to do here more.
Time to practice.
Yeah, it's time to.
But Frontline Gaming is going to be putting on a team event.
Yep.
So
hopefully, and nothing makes me happier.
These events are going to go because we are definitely huge fans of the team.
Yeah, I think Team 40K is the absolute best way to play the game. 100%.
Hope they give 1,000 Sons and Grey Knights and Chaos Space Marines their Codex soon, and they get their 2 wounds. Feels bad right now as a Rubik's lover. Would have loved to see it in a little update.
You know what I hate? I hate that some Plague Marines are 1 wound and have a feel no pain, and some Plague Marines are 2 wounds -1 damage.
Yeah.
Like, could we at least FAQ it so that the models have the same rules in different codexes?
These are very different Plague Marines, John.
Are they though? Are they really different Plague Marines? Like, how different are we talking here? I don't know. It's a little fishy. Who was asking about the team formats?
That was, let's see, our lovely friend Christian from Spain.
There we go. Curious what his 6-man is.
Yeah, if you want to let us know what your 6-man team is, that'd be very interesting.
I'd be very curious to hear it.
Looks like the first showing of the new Death Guard book had them take 1st, 2nd, and 4th place in a recent tournament.
Yeah, I heard about that. There was an article on Goonhammer that I believe went up this morning, one of their meta innovations, and I think that the top 5 were Death Guard, Harlequins, Death Guard, and then finally Death Guard and Thousand Sun Soup. So I don't know exactly which tournament this was, to be honest. I very loosely skimmed the article while on the phone, but that's a strong showing for sure for the Death Guard. The Death Guard Codex has a lot of power, and especially I think when people are like getting their first games into it.
Yeah.
We're a little spoiled here. When a Codex comes out, I play 4 games into it that week. Like, it's like, all right, like let's figure out what this does. But sometimes it's at a point where, you know, new Codex comes out and you read it, but you don't get a game with it until you go to the next tournament. Because you know your buddy doesn't happen to own a Death Guard army, and maybe your pickup games are
or the list they want to run,
you know, it's something like that. So this, I think, partially this is a new Codex shine, where a lot of events kind of get like that, where like the brand new kid on the block that no one has experience against does really well. I remember when the Dark Eldar Codex came out, it won like the first like 4 majors after its release. And it was like all in like a month period, and no one really knew what to do with Dark Eldar because it was such a different playstyle than what everyone was used to. Mm-hmm. It was very dangerous. And it was a good codex afterwards, but it kind of died down in the meta with experience more so than actual nerfs from Games Workshop.
It also had access to Jinx and Doom. That didn't hurt.
Yeah, but like it had access to that for months.
Yeah.
Like it had those rules for a long time. They only eventually got taken away.
Would you consider? Do you take less Chronomancers with the Immortal list? Yes, I don't think they need them as much.
Makes sense to me.
Because I'm running 1 Break of Warriors, so I'm going to take 1,
mm-hmm.
so you can help the Scarabs or the Warriors. But the Immortals, frankly, don't really need it. Just tag cover with some of the models.
Yeah, and then you've got a really good save anyway.
Yeah, if they're putting AP4 plus weapons in there.
What about AP5 weapons?
That's fine.
It's the AP5.
I'll take the hit on the Immortals. No problem.
Makes sense.
It just saves you points, gives you extra tools. What would you consider taking if you wanted to run a fast cron list with the OBSEC Legion? Also, have you gone over your list for this Thursday yet? So for the custom Dynasty build, I have a coaching client who has done really, really well with his list. And you can check it out on BCP in the last 2 Art Award TTS leagues. So he's having great success. Scarabs, Wraiths.
Is that Nick?
Warrior Brick, yeah. So he's got at least 1 Warrior Brick.
So look up the winning Necron list from the most recent Art of War TTS League.
Nick Keever. But that is very much about, I'm going to just dominate the board the first several turns, and you just don't have enough to deal with me quick enough.
That's what you think. This is why I take a Reaver Lieutenant. I don't trust this stuff.
And then, have I gone over the list for Thursday yet? Not yet, but John should be making the post, I think, tomorrow, right?
Yep, it'll be up tomorrow morning. So if you check out our website, theartofwar40k.com, you'll be able to find all the lists for tomorrow's game up tomorrow.
You mentioned the Tachyon area that you liked it. Why? So, to be fair, I was just joking.
It's trolly.
It's trolly and funny, but no, the Tachyon arrow isn't actually good.
I mean, it's not bad.
It's not bad, but it's not something that you're going to be excited about.
You don't game plan around it, it's just very nice when it works.
Yeah. Anarchy has a bunch of troll rules, like being able to take over the gun of a vehicle.
That is something I do not want
yeah,
with my knights. No. No.
Please no, Anarchy, don't do it. I'll take that sweet flat 3 damage, John.
No. Do not want.
What about a house tour for VOD? Maybe eventually.
What's up, squad?
Look at that. Look at Nick.
Look at me. Took a shower finally.
There you go.
I have a question.
Sure.
Yep.
Do we have packing tape anywhere?
Not to my knowledge.
I don't think so.
Duct tape?
We don't know where it is. We lost the duct
Any
tape.
sort of adhesive material?
Mark probably brought the duct tape back.
There's we have no, actually.
Okay.
No, I don't think you're gonna have to get some.
Awesome.
We got a $3 super chat from Cloudmode Groiper. John, what style of play do you gravitate towards?
What style of play? I like a very measured, responsive play where I try not to be too aggressive, but I try to be a very methodical, work on board control, and be in place to respond to my opponent. What I really like to do best is establish a position where I am leading slightly, and my opponent has to try to break the trend to get a lead, and then I just set up to punish them. So get any kind of early advantage, and then just kind of watch my opponent try to escape and hammer them whenever they try to. Basically, whack-a-mole their fingers as they try to climb off the ledge.
Whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-mole.
John, don't tell everybody about the Majeras, please.
Who said that? Is this Adam?
Adam, yeah.
Yeah. Nothing to see here.
Will White Scars get less viable with new death card, or just -1 in damage in general?
No. As good as the +1 damage is, that is like one of like 5 reasons why White Scars are good. I could say that they're less viable because there are more armies getting up to their level, but I don't think that their level has dropped at all. So I think that White Scars are purely viable because they're the fastest Space Marine chapter. And as long as you are fast and can play the mission well, you're always going to be a decently competitive army in Warhammer. Like, that's just one of those things that if you've got it, you're not in a bad spot.
Do you think Sawtech have any play as a non-Silent King build? Imatech seems like a real solid character, and they have a Fight Last relic. Their Warlord trait is also quite good. Hyperlogical strategist for 5-up CP regen.
Mm-hmm.
They're a solid dynasty. I think Novak is the Novak and then the custom dynasty combo of OBSEC plus something else are just better. In a different meta, where there's a lot of horde armies, maybe Sawtech gets a significant boost, but I just feel like Novak is the best of the named dynasties. Both of its rules are great, +1 to charges and extra AP, and then its stratagem is the best Necron stratagem, 1 CP +1 attack on the unit.
It's pretty good.
So
what does Imatech do?
he still has his immortal power.
Does he still let flayed ones reroll charges?
No, I don't think he has that.
Oh, he doesn't have the Blood Swarm Nanoscarabs?
I don't think so.
Darn it.
He has he's a Pharaon, so he gets 2 My Will Be Dones.
Yeah.
He's reasonably cheap, hits decently hard. Like, he's nothing amazing. He's not like one of the best characters in the game, but he's solid.
Okay.
Xandric is actually pretty cool because he has the you just don't get to use that strat this turn.
Yeah, that's something I would take for sure.
Yeah. If there were more armies based around particular strats, you might see him as a tech choice. I know somebody else who was in the channel last week mentioned him. I don't think he's just plug and play though. There's not too many armies that are built around one strat.
Somebody is blocking me.
What's in the box?
No, he's saying you're blocking.
I know.
Okay.
What's in the box? I don't have painting.
What's in the box? Nick doesn't get the reference.
Yeah, I'll be right there to move my card. Just paint this last bit.
Thank you for your answers. In the last one, I agree with Mr. Siegler. The Mortal Wound spam looks really nice, but the idea of a list that surprises the other team seems solid as well. Yeah, usually it's a combination of it's a really solid list overall, but it has tools that your opponent isn't really used to dealing with.
I like his pose. He's like doing a dance. No, that's like
Okay.
he was doing a dance before.
Really, for Imperial Knights, well, I agree the picks you were spamming are good, but still damage output board control is not great, to say the least, I found on my tests. Certainly Knights are limited. They are not one of the best armies in the game, but they actually hit very hard, and their damage output is very powerful with the Majeras.
I think a lot of
Their
people.
defense is better, too, because they have an invuln in combat.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't trying to kill knights right now. They're not.
Yeah.
You're not seeing like super high damage weapons.
I think
You are in like some armies like multi-melta retributors, but most armies are just like lots of damage. 2-ish. Maybe Death Guard will change them. That's not good for
I think
knights.
Death Guard and Dark Angels are changing that back
Yeah.
towards more Melta type weapons,
Mhm.
and that's not really what Knights want to see.
Yeah.
They got this.
John's got this.
Make rocks.
Just pretend you're the Silent King, John. So are Grey Knights competitive currently? Great question.
Oh my god.
Are
Grey
they?
Knights are awesome. Grey Knights are like the most underrated army in the history of Warhammer.
Siegler, you need to move your car size somewhere to go.
Oh my god.
You can't just park in the street and let Nick, drive out and then you
Park
fill
in
the
the
spot.
street.
Yeah.
Savage.
Just pull out and Nick will go with you.
You should not have the audacity to ask you to move your car. Oh my God, you should know.
Let's
better.
not all three of us move our cars.
No. I was just saying because you're above that.
Yeah.
You're moving cars.
Well, I'm the silent
Doesn't work.
Nick, I'll give you my keys. No, I really wouldn't give Nick my keys.
I'm a great driver.
No, he's from Jersey. It's a real risk anytime you're in the car with Nick.
No, I'm a Florida license plate. And I'm a local Florida man.
He's both. He's got New Jersey heritage combined with Florida, man.
Truly
Dangerous combo. But Grey Knights are absolutely legit, I think, and we're going to be seeing them on stream next week. Excited for that, Nick?
Yeah. Grey Knights are. Am I playing? No, I'm not. This is
you
my
got it.
first
You got
first escape from the Grey Knights. This is awesome.
John is going to be playing against the Grey Knights.
Oh, you're gonna like fail the litany every turn. It's not. You're gonna just die, and then I'm gonna be alone in my stance. John will be convinced Grey Knights are terrible. I'm just bad.
I don't fail litanies.
Yeah, I should know better.
Hey guys, first time coming to the Hangout and Hobby. Just bought 2 Indominus boxes for Necrons to build something similar to your Silver Tide list. Other than Silent King, what should I get next? Well, first of all, welcome to the channel. Really appreciate you coming by and hanging out with us. For building up your Necron collection, I would go for 2 boxes of Lich Guard. Get 10 Lich Guard. I think they're amazing in the Novak style list. With the 2 Indominus boxes, that's just a great start. Other than that, I would also look at getting some boxes of Immortals.
Just look at the secret part. You just left a giant space.
What is that, Zeke? What is that?
What?
What? You don't think
You're all the way on the grass.
You
over
parked in the back of the driveway so that no one can park in front of you.
there. Yeah.
Why don't
you
you
took
want
up 2 parking spots with
Because
one
you guys
car.
are constantly blocking me in.
Where do you go?
I got important stuff to do.
No, you don't.
I'm the only one who leaves this house. Don't even.
This is incredible.
Alright, be safe, Nick. Don't be too much of a Florida man.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely incredible. How do you justify this?
What's your style of play? Me charging my crisis suits into melee and getting punched to death. I don't have one. Crisis suits are legit melee. Have a commander nearby, full rerolls to hit and wounds. You do the mortals.
Crisis
3-ups.
bodyguards are.
Yeah, crisis bodyguards. 100%.
Crisis suits are not.
Crisis bodyguards are.
Crisis bodyguards are pretty decent, but also you never
They
take
killed
them,
the
and when
Swarmlord
you
in
take
combat.
them, you don't.
They did. They did.
You literally never charge them in combat.
I charge them all the time.
I don't see this.
I charge them in the game against you.
Which game?
I mean, in the game against Nick that I just played. The Plague Drones. I charge them in.
Yeah.
I just need to kill one model to get him off that objective.
Yeah, you did, okay.
So, hey, I use them aggressive. I just charge them Farsight all over the place.
Ridiculous.
Farsight Enclaves is a melee army.
Okay.
I'm going to
You
charge
don't
them into your
believe that.
guard.
You don't believe that, you know it.
Which are the best knights at the moment? Only the big ones, or try to mix some armigers in. Both the armigers, the Warglaves, and the Majeras from Forge World are very strong.
Yep, I love my Majeras. Majera, Magara, I don't know.
Siegler's car needs to fall back. Emergency disembark.
Oh my goodness.
Chronomancer too, yeah, definitely you'll want a Chronomancer. They haven't, unfortunately, released the new updated Cryptex, which is supposed to be 4 of the different types.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that's going to come soon, as well as the flayed ones.
Yeah.
But those new models look really sick.
Well,
for
the
them.
Psychomancer came out. He's just not good. They just released him on Saturday.
Yeah. But the Chronomancer, the Technomancer, and the Plasman... Well, the Plasmancer came in the Dominus box.
Yep.
But the new updated Technomancer and Chronomancer haven't been released yet.
Which model's the Technomancer? What does it like do? What does it look like?
He's the one who heals.
What does it look like as a model? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember exactly.
Okay.
What does your dream competitive Dark Angels list look like?
Like, what do I want to use?
Yeah.
Just kind of like trolling people with Talon Masters, if I'm being honest. I would love to have Deathwing Knights in it, but they're bad. Talon Masters are cool. Would like to use Black Knights. I would like for them to be takeable, but they're not very good either. I don't think they're good, at least. Maybe someone will find a way to use them that I haven't thought of yet.
The Ravenwing stuff on the whole.
Yeah. Would like to see more Dark Angel bikes used. But, yeah, they're just not. Some of them are good, and taking some bikes is definitely the right call. You don't want to go all Deathwing, I think. But on a whole, Deathwing is better than Ravenwing.
They got one of the best rules in the game just on their data sheet.
They sure did.
Whoops.
It makes sense to me. See no reason not to have this. Definitely a little silly, but I'll take it.
Any plans to try out some Tesseract arcs anytime? No, not really. It's just another vehicle that has D6 number of shots, needs to hit, needs to wound without rerolls, and then has D6 damage. It's just far too inconsistent for 190 points.
Yep. Sadly, there's a lot of those. In the
Quantum
Necron.
shielding's great, but the lack of reliable offense really hurts those units, in my opinion.
Anytime you put a lot of effort into a unit being alive, you need to make sure that it's worth having.
Yeah.
It's like I can make Tyranid Warriors real durable. That is not the problem with Tyranid Warriors.
They have many problems.
There are many problems. Problem is, once I've kept them alive, they need to actually do something. They don't.
They stand on objectives.
Is that what I need? It's like, is that what I was struggling with?
Yeah, I think more Gaunts is just
More Gaunts.
better. Yeah.
When in doubt, more Gaunts. That's always the answer. Or Karens, as we learned last night.
What are your thoughts on TJ Lanigan's triple big boy list from the Las Vegas Open? Are there any changes you guys would consider making to it? TJ is far more of a chaos expert than myself, frankly.
Same.
So I trust his judgment. He's had good success with it outside of, in other events and just playtesting. So I think it's pretty strong. Mortal Wound spam is one of the best answers to Dark Angels and Death Guard.
Yeah, sure. Certainly is. So, yeah, I don't have much critique on that count, frankly. Let's see. I love how I just decided to paint a rhino and a knight.
You're just giving yourself more tasks.
I am.
Could have been a predator.
No. The turret just didn't fit. I needed to put the foot on something.
Or the Mortal Wound Necrons with triple Catan. I'm totally willing to play it. If somebody is
You
the
gotta do it. You
top
gotta
super
do it.
chatter and wants to see triple Catan, I will make it happen. I don't think as an all-comers list that you are going to have a great time with that.
Alright. Siegler has been saying since October, when the book came out, yeah, I'm totally willing to play with Catan. And since October, he has not brought a Catan on stream a single time. Are you a Star God? No, clearly not.
No, I have the Star God enchained to my throne.
Yeah, you're not a Star God, that's what I'm saying.
No, I'm
So
silent.
I think someone needs to make him do it, make him put his money where his mouth is. Top subscriber at the end of the month, or top 2 donators, I should say, get to pick a stream match. Someone get in there, make Siegler play with Catan.
Not
Honestly,
just one,
make
though.
it all 3.
Triple Catan.
Triple Catan, make him do all 3.
I have it. I have 3 Catan.
There you go. You've got a Nightbringer, you got a Deceiver. Do you have a Transcendescent Shard?
We got Void Dragon.
You got a Void Dragon? Okay.
Void Dragon.
There you go.
The Machine Spirit be with me. But, yeah, I think as an all-comers list, that this is going to struggle big time.
A lot of people have been hyping it up for team tournaments, though.
Yeah, I can definitely see it there, where you can play around the matchups that
Yeah.
would be really difficult. Like, I'm playing into the Necron Mirror matchup, my opponent has Scarabs. That's going to suck. Or I'm playing into Tyranids, and they have 1,000 Gaunts in front of me. That sucks, because they're just going to tie up the Catan, and then you're doing not a whole lot for several turns.
It is one of the problems.
Richard, what do you think of the Locust Heavy Destroyers? I think he needs a profile update to his gun, or become significantly cheaper. One-shot weapons without easy access to, full rerolls. They get reroll 1s to hit. If you bring the Scorpack Lord, which is 130 points, reroll 1s to wound. Still, no guarantee you wound. You could use the strat on one of them to auto wounds. Your opponent's going to get a save against it. 3d3 damage, nothing bad about that. Problem is one shot. It's just not consistent enough for such an 70-point platform.
Yeah, totally.
So I don't think they're that good. Zarek and Dynasty probably gets the most out of them because you get the reroll wound with their trait. I just would rather have Volume of Fire generally is more consistent and better overall instead of single shot weapons.
That makes sense to me. 4 Locust Destroyers.
Yeah, I have 3 of them. John, for White Scars, would you consider taking 3x10 Vanguard Vets and 6 Plasma Inceptors in an army? Could be a way to have 10 Vanguard Vets that are not while we stand that can provide board control early.
Yeah, 100%. Not opposed to that at all. I do genuinely love Vanguard Veterans. So I'm all about that. They're a great unit. I love to have it. honestly, if LVO had happened, I was probably going to go buy 10 more Vanguard veterans and just play 30.
Yeah.
But because it didn't, we did not do that. I thought 20 was enough for any kind of stream game or normal tournament I was going to go to. Really, only LVO would actually make me want to own 30. Anything else, I can do fine with 20.
Because Storm Shields and Lightning Claws are a nerf away from...
They are. Everywhere. Now, I did magnetize them, so when the time comes, we will have other things to do with our time, with our Van Vets. But for now, they're really nice to have. I do love my Van Vets. I really hope that they don't get nerfed. Please, GW, have mercy.
The best team faction is definitely Orcs.
Hard disagree, but maybe I just haven't seen the Red Orc list.
The ones that I've been seeing for this WTC TTS tournament are just 180 plus boys, just spam boys everywhere.
180.
Yeah.
Don't know if I like that. Actually, I know that I don't. It's possible, but I'm not a huge fan of Orcs.
Yeah.
I just feel like there are too many matchups that they could get paired into. Like if people just have two different anti-horde lists, which is not inconceivable.
Yeah, you play against Necrons and something else.
Necrons and Admech.
Yeah.
Boom.
Or Grey Knights.
Or Grey Knights. Yeah, having Necrons and Grey Knights as an anti-horde list would be wonderful. Yep, so that is my fear. How do you kit bash a Chronomancer? You've just been using the old school Cryptek with a Canoptic Spider.
Yeah, the Crypteks existed as models. What they did with the latest update was split the Crypteks into their different disciplines. So each one is getting a particular model, but you can still use the old Cryptek, which is what I'm doing.
Yeah, especially until the new one comes out. Yeah. I don't think anyone's going to...
I use the one with the Scarab base to denote the Veil of Darkness.
Totally makes sense to me.
I'm steering clear of Vanguard vets, lure my Dark Angels, and besides, John is probably going to get them nerfed or pointed out of the game soon enough.
I'm going to try not to. Vanguard veterans are fine. Let's see.
They are fine. It's really Lightning Claws and Storm Shields being undercosted upgrades.
Yeah. I think the Lightning Claw is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the Lightning Claw should lose its +1 attack.
And just be reroll wounds.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Yeah, either go up in points or lose the +1 attack. It's just...
It's too good.
It's a little too good. Like, when you compare it to a power sword, it's like, would I want reroll wounds and +1 attack or +1 strength? And I'm like, yeah, I'll take...
The good one?
I'll take the good one. And also the cheaper one. It's less points than a power sword.
That's silly.
It's not. Yep, they really wanted people to take Lightning Claws, and who am I to say no to Games Workshop? If they want me to take it, done. I'm in.
But that's really, we want the game to have as many options as possible.
Yeah.
We don't want there to be obvious ones.
Exactly. And maybe they just buff the other power weapons. It's okay. I would love for power swords to be like a point or two cheaper, so that they are a comparable option to a Lightning Claw. But they're just not there right now.
I was just giving an Orcs answer, guys. Sorry that you read that. No problem.
Wow.
Feel free to joke in there. Yeah. I don't know.
I do like Orcs fluff-wise. I really don't like their playstyle.
I love playing
against
Orcs.
Yeah, playing against them is always fun.
Picking up a full Orc army is just a ton of fun.
Yep. And sometimes you get to do it twice, if they spend those command points.
Tau into Orcs was so much fun.
I bet you enjoyed that.
You don't get to do anything. My 2-man drone units are going to screen all your big boys squads out, and I'm just going to pick up a boy squad a turn and start whittling the others.
Yep, hated that.
Like, oh, you can't interact with me. This is great. Nick does, but have either of you played Pure GSC?
I
Mr.
have.
John Lennon.
I play a lot of Pure GSC, more than Nick, actually.
He just beat White Scars at Pure GSC.
Okay, that didn't count. But yes, I do love Pure GSC. They're gold. I played them a lot when they were, last season, when they were one of the best armies of the game. I played them a lot in the last real season that we had. Like, I took them to Nova. Did quite well. Got myself a top 8 there. So I love Genestealer Cult. I have kept building the army, and I have my what I think is the best Genestealer Cult list. However, I still don't think that the best Genestealer Cult list is really on the same level as a lot of the other armies I own. So I don't play them often right now, but I did get a practice game in with them just a week ago. Actually, just last week. And yes, I did play into White Scars, and I managed to pull out a victory for the Colts, but I don't know how indicative that was of the truth. So we'll
Just tell them about the rock saws coming back.
Okay. So you've got that stratagem with Gene Stealer Cult, where you can just heal D6 models on a troop unit, any troop choice. And I sent a Suicide Rock Saw squad after my opponent. Just went right after something like a what was it? Right after like an Intercessor squad and killed it. And my opponent maybe undercommitted a little bit. Just sent a Vanguard squad to finish them off and did not put any shooting in. And Vanguard veterans, it's 20 attacks hitting on 3s, no rerolls. And I've got a 6-up invul due to my cult, and he killed 9 out of the 10 Rocksaw guys. And I pulled the Rocksaw that wasn't in combat. I left it as the last one. He didn't consolidate into it. He didn't want the extra attack, so I spent the 2 CP to fearless it, and then I grew D6 models back. Ended up with a full unit of 4 Rocksaws. And I wiped out the Vanguard veterans. And then he's like, all right, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to shoot them. And he shot them. Kind of rolled a little bad. Just put some random bolt guns in and realized that he had shot the big guns first. We didn't have anything left. Left 1 Rocksaw. Healed 3 more. Had 4 Rocksaws. Went in charge of Primary Apothecary. Killed him. Whacked him. And that was the story of one little 10-man Acolyte squad that grew 10 Rocksaws with a couple command points invested. And did me very, very proud. If you mess up against Gene Circle, they're really punishing. They're just the safety net for them has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And a really good player who knows what Gene Circle do can really punish you there. So that is always my fear with Gene Circle. As much as I love them, and I do love them very much.
Are Grey Knights still running only 10 Paladins, 3 Strike squads? What's the appeal of Purgation squads? Because you can load them up with 4 special weapons, and the Silencer is one of the best weapons in the game.
Yep.
It's a 2-point gun that is 6 shots, strength 4, no AP, D3 damage. But what makes it really good is the buffs you can stack on it. So Psychic Tide, your strength 5, D3 plus 1 damage. So against stuff that has like 3-up armor or just invulns, you obliterate things. On top of that, you can spend 2 CP, they get another plus 1 strength and AP 1. And if you have a chaplain, they can get up to AP 2. Astralane can let them ignore cover. You can just do a heinous amount of damage with them. And you can have those, they're 108 points for these 3 squads of 4 silencers each just floating around. They're very, very strong. Purifiers are the other thing that I've been running recently. I think they're very strong as well because they have 1 CP strat when they're targeted for a invuln. And Grey Knights have multiple ways to buff invulns. So you could very easily have 3-up invuln, -1 to wounds, purifiers holding down an objective.
Yeah, that's pretty tough.
And they also get, if they're a 10-man, can take 4 of the special weapons. That's really where the strength is. The Shooting Tide is what gives Grey Knights a lot of their power. Paladins are kind of unnecessary. There are a lot of points.
I like normal Terminators, frankly.
Yeah.
I just like filling a troop slot, being OPSEC. I don't like not being OPSEC.
Thoughts on Hellblasters and Dark Angels?
You know what? I actually think that they're not bad. However, I think that Dark Angels have like several different playstyles that they can pull off very well, and I would not take Hellblasters in like my typical Dark Angel list, but I genuinely think you could do like a Dark Angel successor with Hellblasters that would actually be quite potent. I like that Hellblasters are a longer range than Inceptors, and you get more shots with Hellblasters for the points if you're not shooting at a blast unit. You get a little bit less if you're shooting at like a horde unit, but they are quite potent, and long range is very nice.
Have you ever found yourselves in a tournament with a really issue related to lack of terrain? Do you contact the organization to check in advance? I do.
I have, and that's how I learned. That's how I learned. I think I had a tournament I went to where unfortunately I ended up playing with my Gene Stealer Cult against Imperial Knights, and there was really literally nowhere to hide on the board just due to the way the deployment zones worked out, and I did end up losing that game. It was hard, and that was not fun. But you know what? A lot of events, especially recently, have been really trying to improve the quality of their events and the quality of the terrain from what I've seen in the United States. But it does, especially if it's like an early, first time event, maybe reach out to the TO, just ask them what like a typical table is going to be like. If you have terrain, and you're willing to transport and you're willing to volunteer, never hurts to reach out to the TO. Just ask them like, hey, my local community has terrain. Are you good? Are you looking for volunteers to donate more? Some TOs will really appreciate that. Some will just say, nope, we're already good. We're good to go. This is what a normal terrain is going to look like for us.
Yeah.
Just having more information. Reaching out to the TO never helps. They're usually very happy to answer any questions you have. Almost always.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll just send you an example board of here's kind of what you would want to expect. John, what do you think GSC need to become competitive again?
Frankly, their rules are not consistent with a 9th edition playstyle, and also a lot of their units are horrendously overcosted. Their characters are some of the worst in the game. Like, they do useful things, and they're characters that you have to take because they do things that the army requires, but the actual points cost on their characters is heinous, frankly. Like, a Magus and a Primus are both 20 to 30 points overcosted. Patriarch is actually probably fine. I think he could go down 20 and be okay, but at least the Patriarch's good. He's 135 points. He's not bad.
He's actually pretty reasonable.
The Patriarch is one that I'm not mad about his points cost. He could probably go down 10. But the Primus and the Magus, as well as a lot of the other support characters, are horrendously overcosted in my mind. As well, several of the units and options, such as Brood Brothers and Aberrants, are both very overcosted. As well as Metamorphs, Jackals. There's a lot of stuff that just kind of was good and got points whacked it into oblivion, and then they took some of their rules away, and then the game evolved away from them. And that was just a deadly combination of their cult.
Cloudmo Groiber with another $5 super chat. How would you play the Warriors Silent King build into Harlequins, John's Tyranids, and Melee Marines?
Ooh.
If you want to check out into Melee Marines, we have some examples on the channel.
Mm-hmm.
And into Harlequins, I played one game into Nick's Shining Spear Harlequin build several months ago, probably 3 months ago. That was Nick's first experience playing against the Silent King build, so maybe not the best demonstration, but it showed the power that you can have.
Showed the potential.
But overall, the main thing you want to do is set up double turn of 5-up Overwatch, and they have to trade something to soak that Overwatch minimum.
Mm-hmm.
All you need to do against Harlequins is make sure that the Frozen Stars can't send one troop unit in and kill 2 different warrior squads.
That's what you don't want.
Yep. So just avoid that. So keep them nice and separated, or have Scarabs in between, or the Silent King. Any of that. They don't have a great answer for the Silent King. If they're running 18 bikes or 15 bikes, fine. Just accept that. Keep the Silent King safe for late game, and instead just dominate the board, because Harlequin bikes are awful at killing Necron stuff.
Whoop.
Necron infantry, that is. And then into the Tyranids.
That'd be an interesting match.
Yeah, I'd be happy to play that.
That's something to request.
Demon Karens?
Can the Star Gods bring it back?
You have played the Star Gods into Tyranids again? Let's do it.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
Star Gods versus the Demon Karens.
Who's going to win?
Probably the Demon Karens. Those things are nasty.
The Demon Karens are nasty.
They're a lot cheaper than a Catan, and they hit harder.
Yeah, they're not cheap. They're 230 points.
Okay, but 350, man.
What isn't a Transcendent 3 or 270?
A lot worse than.
Okay.
Because you basically get to pick one of the buffs, so you roll for 2 of them, and none of the buffs are that amazing by themselves. You really do want to roll. So I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think the Transcendent one, because they also don't hit as hard in combat either.
Oh, what are they, less attacks or?
I think they're 1 less attack, and they have less strength.
I see.
They also don't have a gun. Like the Void Dragon.
The Void Dragon, eh?
They also don't get access to the special powers, which there's some really good ones in there.
That's true. Like the Deceiver or the Nightbringer is a really good one.
Yeah.
That's why they raised his points.
I don't know what they were doing there. They must have just saw trolling on the internet where like Nightbringer 20 points up. At least they brought the Reanimator down.
Yep. That's one that deserved it.
He was the most overcostly unit in the game. Now he's not.
Yep. He's like totally considerable now. He's not great, but he's considerable.
No, yeah. They put too many limitations on his ability. That you need line of sight and has to be within 6 and etc. etc. What am I building? I am working on some more Necron Immortals. Building up as many as possible. Ideally, I'll get up to 50 soon.
I like it.
John, what's stopping you from giving Deathwatch a look?
Frankly, I am waiting on the Heavy Intercessor model to come out. I also, while I do like Deathwatch, Nick has expressed a lot of interest in it, and I frankly don't want to play every Marine army, although I do like all of them individually. When Nick kind of expressed his interest in getting a Deathwatch army, which he is working on acquiring, I was just kind of happy to let him have it. I was like, you know what, I play a lot of Marine armies, Nick can happily play with this one, and that's not a problem for me. If we were like in the thick of tournament season, because I think Deathwatch are legit, I would probably try to convert up some Heavy Intercessors. But right now, there's absolutely no pressure for me time-wise. I'm like, I have to figure out Deathwatch now. I'm just kind of waiting for the Heavy Intercessor models to come out. And when they do, we'll definitely get some. We'll put them on the stream. However, Deathwatch is the one Marine army that I feel bad using my custom scheme for. I feel like if I'm going to play Deathwatch, it's got to be black. Just black looks good with them.
Yeah.
So I don't want to just play my blue and white Marines as Deathwatch specifically. So I haven't been as excited about going after them. But they have really good rules. Nick's played them on the channel a couple of times. I think that they're very, very strong. When the Heavy Intercessor comes out, we're definitely going to try to get a separate Deathwatch army from our normal Marines.
Yeah.
Like a separate black Deathwatch army. We're working on acquiring that now, but a new army does take a little bit of time to get up. Especially to paint it to the standards we would like to.
We played them twice on the War Room stream.
Yep.
To get a sense of the builds that we're using, and both times they did very well.
Yeah, they've been quite impressive.
Just because we don't have Heavy Intercessors, that's why we don't put them on the public stream, because we essentially
we have to proxy with like Eradicators and Terminators and things like that.
Yeah. What do you think about Anarchyr and a Novak Silent King list? Definitely an option. It's essentially, do you take him? Do you take a cheaper character like a basic Technomancer or Lord or whatever, or do you end up taking Illuminor Szeras? It's one of those options.
Yeah, totally.
So it comes down to what you want to prioritize. I think each of them does something very well. Anarchyr, obviously, with the attack buff, just amazing to have. Having a unit of 10 Immortals be able to get up to 40 attacks, that's awesome, especially with the Silent King rerolls. Illuminor Szeras gives you access to just bringing back Immortal and Lichguard units and potentially giving them T6, +1 to hit, +1 strength. All that's very good. And then a basic Lord can bring the Res Orb, and he can give you reroll 1s in combat, which is nice to have, since the Silent King is reroll wounds in combat. There's benefits to all of them. Anarchyr definitely has a place if you want to run him.
Right on.
His Warlord trait is also decent to the reroll charges in an aura.
I think I'm going to make a run to the store after this, get some cotton balls to come out of these hatches. I have LED lights, so I'm going to slide them in under there, keep the battery here, have the lights come out there, and then put the cotton balls over it so that it's on fire and I can open the hatch, press a button, and it'll glow.
Nice. Love it.
Yep. I like Obion.
How do you all feel about Emperor's Spears?
You know what? I've actually read their rules. They have a White Dwarf rule. They're really cool. They're really held back by being Ultramarines. Emperor Spear is a custom chapter, and they get +1 advance in charge and exploding 6s. So a very good set of successor traits. That's not a limit at all. They're Ultramarine successors, and they have some really good stratagems, such as a 1 CP +1 to wound on the charge. Some of the Ultramarine relics, like the Banner of Macragge and Violet, which give you an aura of +1 attack, as well as Seal of Oath, which is a successor relic, so they can take a no penalty. There are some really, really good things you can do with Ultramarines as a successor. So I don't hate that at all. For me, it's that if I'm going to bother playing Ultramarines, I probably want to just have Guilliman. But if you wanted to have a very jack of all trades, I'm good at shooting, good at combat, Emperor Spears are actually really cool. You just having access to +1 to wound on the charge is very strong. It's only 1 CP for them, but it has to be in a turn which you charge. They have a couple other stratagems that are like not terrible, but none of them were like really trying to convince me. So I don't think it's necessary.
The familiars are by far my favorite part of GSC.
Clownmoid Groper is asking if I'm signed up for the Iron Halo or if that is a different John Lennon. Clownmoid Groper, I think you know that's me. I actually got a ticket to Iron Halo for free because I won it last year. So they offered me a ticket very graciously, and I had a great time. It was a wonderful event, so I did accept. So they registered for me up right away, so I don't have to pay. We'll see, of course, how the year develops, but I I think it's planning to be held in September, so I'm optimistic that by September we'll be quite good to go. I mean, we were able to go last time, so I'm hoping that I can go again. But it always depends on what happens in the world. I don't want to commit to anything because we never know. But I had a great time at Iron Halo, so I'd love to be there again.
The Alchemic is familiar, John.
Ooh, Alchemic is familiar?
Yeah. He almost killed the Swarmlord.
Yeah, he wounded him. He wounded him. Who's talking about the Alchemic is familiar?
I mean, we're just talking about familiars, but he's my favorite.
Oh my god, absolutely the best. Alchemic is familiar by far.
John Reed has read all the Horus Heresy books.
That is true.
And he has them on his shelf.
I do indeed. I actually don't have one of them, but I've read it.
What's your favorite of the books?
Oh my god. Honestly, the ADB, Aaron Dembski Bounty books are probably the best. Overall, though, I might actually say Master of Mankind. I really enjoyed that one. It was one of the later ones, but it's very Emperor and Custodes focused, and it really gives insight into the Emperor that you just don't get in 40k. There's quite a few good ones. I really enjoyed the series, honestly. Very excited for the Siege of Terra as well.
You both played Blood Angels. Are they going to fall to the bottom of the Marine pile with subpar rules? No, they're still actually decent. They're middle tier.
Blood Angels are actually good. It's just that they've got a couple of hard counters, I think, that other top level Marines don't have. They're still better than the middle tier Marines. They just have a few matchups that really don't make me want to bring them to a tournament that I'm trying to 5-0. But Blood Angels have a very good 4-in-1 path.
Yeah.
In my opinion. They're a really good army still.
I mean, you hear John talking about +1 to wound before. They just get
I just get that. Yeah, that's not a stratagem.
That's just all my units. Why Immortals over Warriors? Being 20 models is a strength in itself, and when I played Immortals, they seem to be less resilient because less protocols can be made. The reason is with the 10-man Immortal units, they have a different type of defense. T5, 3 up armor, 2 up in cover is a different style of defense from the Warriors, so they don't really need the Chronomancer, which means you save points there and you can invest them elsewhere into buffing characters.
Or into more Immortals.
Or into, more of any unit. The other thing is you just get more units overall. There are a couple units in the game that trade well into Warriors. Plasma Scepters, Sisters of Pentia.
5 Death Company with Thunderhammers.
5 Death Company with 4 Death Company.
It was 5 when I started.
No, but 4, you resolve 4 attack.
Yeah, one of them died in Overwatch, but it was 5 when I tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that just shows their power in Assault Doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, with the Invuln, they wouldn't have died. So.
No, not at all.
But yeah, overall, there's a couple units in the game that can do, 10 Sanguinary Guard, whatever. Any giant unit, 10 Vanguard Vets, +1 to, or the Mortals that they can do on the charge with the strat.
100%.
All that stuff can just kill Warriors, and usually it's trading up. Some of those are equally expensive, so it's more of a 1-to-1 trade. But on the whole, something like a Repentia unit, trading into 10 Immortals, totally fine for that to happen. Into 20 Warriors, less fine with that happening.
Less fine, you say?
Yeah. So, I do love that's why I'm running 1 Warrior Brick still, because I have the Resorb, so the times where it does get down to a couple models, I can Resorb them back, and also potentially get onto objectives I otherwise wouldn't have. I like that mobility aspect of the big units.
Still very strong, 100%.
I like having both.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense to me.
Welcome to Christian, an Art of War member. Thank you so much for joining the channel, getting access to those sweet sub badges and emotes, as well as
sweet sub badges,
early access to the videos, and all those replays on these Hangout and Hobbies.
Absolutely. Hope you enjoy them.
Let's see. Thanks for the warm welcome. Loving your streams. Why build Lichguard over Praetorians for Novak? Lichguard benefit from the dynasty traits is number 1. So Praetorians, unfortunately, are dynastic agents, so they never benefit from dynastic codes. Mm-hmm. So they don't get the +1 to charge. They don't get the extra AP, which is fine for them. But really, a lot of the other buffs are dynasty related, like the Chronomancer 5-up Invuln and reroll charges. That's locked to dynasty. Yep. So you can get them with an Invuln if you bring Orican, but now you're taking a slower Chronomancer who's more expensive. Other reasons around Lichguard is their native defense is much better. +1 to saving throws, 4-up Invuln, really great defense. and they also benefit because they're core from a lot of powerful abilities in the game.
Makes sense to me.
And that Necrons have access to. So
Mm-hmm.
I think they just synergize better. Their strat is much better than the Praetorian strat as well. +1 attack if a lord's nearby.
What's the Praetorian strat?
+1 to hit.
Can they be My Will Be Done?
By the Silent King.
By the Silent King.
By the Silent King. But it's not like they one shot each, so
Yeah.
it's not +1 attack.
No.
Strength 5 versus strength 6, 7, or 8.
Makes a difference.
Buff. Yeah.
Makes a difference. Also, 2 damage is actually less valuable now because -1 damage is starting to become a little prolific.
Exactly. So greater volume of attacks, 1 damage with the hyperphase sword,
Mm-hmm.
and the shield is just better in the meta.
100%.
They do have the downside of they're not quite as fast, but because of how terrain works in 9th edition, it's pretty easy to get them into a midfield ruin and then go from there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
How do Black Templars compare to the other Marine chapters, especially the melee ones?
Well, I guess that's for me.
Yeah.
Black Templars are very cool. They're a little bit trickier than most of the melee Marine armies. They're very unique. They're a relatively hard-hitting Marine army, but they rely more on their buffs than inherent strengths, like what Blood Angels do.
Yeah.
So kind of like White Scars, it's an average in combat. You really need to get the buffs up from characters to get good in combat. Decent Assault Doctrine buff, but not as strong as White Scars. They have some really good tricks, like Devout Push, their unique Chaplain chance, as well as a great stratagem tree. They have fantastic stratagems by the standards of Space Marines. What I think keeps them back is that absolutely none of their buffs affect shooting units. Now, you're a Space Marine, so that means that you are not a bad shooting army, but any unit that you take that's a shooting unit in Black Templars is really not benefiting from being a Black Templar. So you can get to a very one-dimensional army very easily with Black Templars, but they are Space Marines, which means that they're pretty good, and they have very good stratagems. I would personally put Black Templars with their index above Space Wolves as far as the melee armies go. They may even have some more play than Blood Angels, but I think that that's a very close comparison. I wouldn't say that Black Templars are just flat out better. So they've got some really cool jank, like the no fallback stuff is really strong. I think that they're better when the meta is less melee because of some of the tricks they have to get into melee. But again, in just a straight up we're both melee armies, let's fight, I think Black Templars have a little bit less play than some of the other chapters.
We got Clelmo Griper with another $3 super chat. What do you think of a post-Dark Angels and Death Guard Black Templar list?
That is hard, because I think you absolutely have to have some kind of guns. I still like my Judiciar. Frankly, I think I would go with the 4-up Invuln Relic. It's only once per battle, or 1 battle round per game. So if you think that a 4-up Invuln Aura is too strong. And then I would go with some Redemptors and Attack Bikes. I'd still take Hellbricht and my ever-loving Vanguard Veterans. Probably a Terminator Brick as well. Just go for the 5-up Feel No Pain, lots of Thunderhammer, Storm Shields. Just rely on hammering people, and that 5-up Feel No Pain and Apothecary will keep you alive for a very long time. But the fact that you can advance and charge Devout Push and get some other buffs like +1 attack, +1 strength very easily means that you will hit harder than Dark Angel Terminators. You just are not going to be quite as tough because you don't have that transhuman or -1 damage baked in. But a 5-up Feel No Pain is very strong. So I would say you take some shooting elements. I really like Redemptors with Black Templars because you can give them a 4-up Invuln for that one turn. So if your opponent is going to try to bust out and shoot you with their own multi-month attack bikes, maybe that's a good time to have a 4-up Invuln.
I can see it.
I can see it.
With the reroll aura defense and a lot of -1, have you thought about changing from Lightning Claws to something else on Vanguard vets?
I have not, no. I think that they're just miles away the best weapon. And the fact that some of these debuffs exist don't change the fact that one squad of Vanguard Veterans doesn't kill Death Guard. Like, I can't change the weapons and then kill Death Guard.
Yeah.
So, like, because I agree, like, Lightning Claws without +1 damage and without rerolls are not going to be good at killing Death Guard, but there's nothing there that is. It's not like I can switch to Power Swords and be better at killing Death Guard. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I would have to spend, like, over 100 points to give the whole unit Thunderhammers. and I'm still not actually that great into Death Guard, just a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I will keep them as they are, where they're amazing into everything else, and I will focus on other elements to get around the unkillable units like Death Guard.
Do you ever feel like you're missing the Royal Warden for the fallback and shoot on the Warriors or Immortals? Also, second pack of Indominus Necrons on the way. Well, glad to hear it. The Royal Warden is good. I haven't felt he's absolutely necessary.
I like him a lot.
He's good, but he's competing with a lot of other powerful HQs.
Mm-hmm.
I personally prefer the Res Orb Lord.
Yeah, that's
when I'm running Lich
understandable.
Guard. When I have Lich Guard and the Silent King there, like anything that's standing in front of me is going to get wrecked.
That's probably true.
So I'm not as worried about if I lose a bit of shooting that turn. That's fine. If you don't run the Lich Guard, though, if you went like Mass Immortals, 100% I would put the Royal Warden in there. But since I
really,
love
with Mass Immortals, you think?
Yeah.
Interesting, okay.
Mainly because, there are, big enough units that could potentially tie up multiple ones.
Yeah.
Now, maybe you're strung out, so only a couple of your mortals actually get to swing, so you don't do enough damage there. Having one of those fall back and the other one veil, that's where...
Yeah, that's
like
some money right there.
Yeah.
When do you pick your target for the Royal Warden fallback and shoot?
Command phase, I believe.
Okay, so he's got to be in the thick of it.
Yeah, he'll be nearby.
Yeah, I assume so.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just trading the unit and you don't care what happens.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best way to learn about other army rules without getting overwhelmed, especially when it comes to so many new books having restrictions on certain models, not getting the army rules, etc.?
What do you think?
Well, for us personally, in the War Room, we do clinics on every faction every couple of weeks. We rotate in and out of the factions. So if you just want a good 40 minute to an hour kind of breakdown of what is good about this faction, what are some example lists, and want to ask live questions about that faction.
Asking live questions, definitely the best part.
That's what we do every week in, week out. Usually it's about 5 clinics. And then we have a Meta Monday that talks about how we're adjusting to the meta, the big events that happened, etc.
Yeah.
So in the War Room, we do breakdowns like that. Other things that are more entry level type of breakdowns, I'd look at Goonhammer and some of the analysis that they do for each faction.
They've got some great analysis.
They kind of break down every single data sheet and give you some sample lists. They do a very good job for.
There are some good Codex reviews on YouTube as well. If, for example, you're curious about Dark Angels, we actually have a video up on our channel right now. If you're a member. And if not, well, it'll be available soon. Don't worry. But if you want to get it now, get the early access.
And in our reviews, we focus on competitive play. What are the best rules that are going to help you win games with that faction?
Yep, absolutely.
And then we've also been doing a follow-up video, which John and I also recorded. That'll be up next week, and that is how to beat that faction. What are the tools?
Also very important. Strengths and weaknesses, both good to know.
What was my thought on heavy destroyers? Just too inconsistent. Too many points for what they do.
Yeah, sadly.
They need an update to their gun or be much cheaper. Is the short answer. 99% sure Necrons is going to be my second army. Is there a good list that you would recommend? Really, the core that I've been running has been at least 1 brick of 20 warriors, some amount of scarabs to screen and just be fast in the early game and soak up mortals if I need them to. And then it's Silent King, Lich Guard, and then I've been adding more immortals more recently because I prefer having the extra range in this meta. So can't really go wrong. Couple characters like a basic Lord or Chronomancers, also helpful.
If you want maybe a basic starting list, maybe check out your game in the Las Vegas Open. The one that you played Necrons into Slaanesh.
Yep.
That was on our channel, so it's in our YouTube videos right now. The list in the description of that video, I think that's a great starting point for Necrons. You can always branch out to something else, but if you just get 3 Indominus halves, again, those are actually kind of easy to find if you have some local Marine players, a Silent King and 2 boxes of Lich Guard, that's basically a 2,000 point list right there with a little bit of conversions.
Yep. So you can get that very easily done, and it'll give you... It's a good list for learning the army and how it should play.
Absolutely. You can always make your own modifications, as Siegler's doing, as you work your way through it.
And it's going to shift based on the meta.
Yeah, always.
Necrons are ever-changing. They're in a great place. There's no perfect set for them, thankfully. Yeah, absolutely. It's a well-designed, well-written codex. There's nothing broken in there. It's all solid to good. So they didn't. There's nothing heinously undercosted in that book, which is a great place to be. There's no broken stratagems.
Yeah. There's no single broken mechanic that they rely on to compete. They have a lot of strengths
Yep.
None of which are over the top.
Their shooting units probably need to be cheaper or more consistent. I would like to see them get weapons updates similar to Marines got, but maybe we'll get that eventually. Probably cheaper points is what's going to happen.
Yeah, I would expect that.
So
I think that they're going to have to do that for all vehicles because the Marine vehicles have also very quickly fallen out of favor.
Yeah.
Like the second they put the core changes in, literally vehicles stop existing in Space Marine chapters.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's what they wanted, but that is what they got. So some changes are going to have to be made if that's not what they envisioned.
Yeah. Worm is fantastic, not going to lie. Just watched the recent Grey Knight clinic. It was incredibly in-depth. Feels like I have a strong understanding of what they're trying to do now. We're really glad to hear that, Clown One Groper.
Awesome.
I put a lot of effort into that. Grey Knights are one of my factions that I think are like secretly very powerful. And there's a lot of depth to them and how you play them. So we talked all sorts of different strategy, how to use the strats, which ones to prioritize, CP discipline with Grey Knights.
Well, they're not as cool as Imperial Knights, but they're all right.
So that's typical of a lot of the clinics. TJ is always, mastering all the different chaos builds that he wants to talk about. John and his Space Marines and Imperium.
I do love my Imperium.
Scary and his Eldari. So we have typically experts on every single different faction.
Absolutely.
If you were to start your second army, which army would you choose now?
Depends on what your first one is. I would say Necrons, Sisters, and Space Marines are like the good ones to start. They all have very up-to-date plastic model lines that are beautiful.
Yep.
They're all very competitive in ways that I think will last for a while. Like some books like Gene's Third Cult came out really competitive and then immediately went down. Not immediately, but a very sharp decline. I could see all three of those factions. They're all very competitive right now. They're all easily in my top 5. I could see all of them being in my top 10 in a year.
Yeah.
The meta's always shifting. Nothing is constant, but all have very solid mechanics.
Also depends on what your play style is.
Absolutely. So depending on what your first army is, like maybe if your first army is Custodes, maybe you don't want to do Space Marines because it's kind of similar in some ways.
Yep.
Maybe most want to do Sisters or Necrons there. Maybe your current army is Chaos and you want to do something loyal. Maybe then Sisters or Space Marines is good for you. So depending on what you have, those would be my top 3 if I was starting a new army right now.
Yeah, I think
they're all plastic lines. You don't need any Forge World models if those are hard to access for you. You don't need too many books. They all have just one book they need, except for Space Marines where you just need 2.
Yeah.
But they're all just really solid plastic model lines that are good to acquire right now.
Yeah, I typically recommend picking armies that have multiple play styles.
Yes,
Multiple.
I think all 3 of those do.
Yeah, they all do. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's why I don't recommend Knights because Knights have exactly 2,000 good points. You don't have options with Knights. This is the list. There's nothing else I've run from the Codex.
It's the same thing with Tal. There's just not really any options. So. Doomstalker crying in D6. Yeah.
The Doomstalker.
It
Tried so
could
hard.
have been good. It could have been good.
Decided not to be instead.
Is the Chief Apothecary a must-take in White Scars?
Yep.
100%.
He's 100% in every army except Space Wolves.
If you are Space Marines and you can take the Chief Apothecary, get him in there.
Space Wolves are literally the only chapter that doesn't want him. I think it's just a very quick, easy auto-take. No arguments.
If you have a Tyranid army.
You have a Tyranid army. Oh, you gotta go Sisters. What? I don't like failing charges.
Guard, because they can both ally with each other, probably.
You can, but that's terrible. So just don't do that.
But it might not be terrible in the future. It'd be nice having the guard line, accessible.
He said second army. He's not growing the first army.
All right.
I'm going Sisters here.
Okay.
Also, Guard of an old model line. They're very one-dimensional in their playstyle. Guard don't have options. Guard have I can do a good 2,000 points of Guard. I can't do that and then come up with a different build that's even remotely close. So I would say Sisters if you if you enjoy Tyranids, you just want a second army. Now if you're frustrated with Tyranids, go Space Marines and everything will feel better.
Yeah.
But if you enjoy Tyranids and just want like a breath of fresh air, but like you enjoy the playstyle, I think Sisters are a great army to take.
Yeah. They kind of have the same playstyle of sending melee missiles each turn.
Yeah, great with melee missiles. Yep.
What's on the menu for the Eldari clinic, Mr. Lennon?
Oh ho ho! Funny you should ask. I have no idea. That's Scary. However, I will be part of that Eldari clinic with Mr. Scary. Probably going to talk about the upcoming Dockin, and we will see how that develops.
Also how to beat Eldari, too.
Also how to beat Eldari. You know what?
D-Macarons.
That's how you do it.
Bring the D-Macarons.
Bring the D-Macarons.
Melee has been always my preferred way to play. Sisters would have been in there if the plastics were out before GSC.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sisters are
Plastic line's
great. The
amazing.
plastic line's amazing. It's a very fun army, very fulfilling to build and paint. A lot of options in the army. Yeah, I would say Sisters from what you're describing. Go Sisters! That is this basic material not dry yet.
You all good, John?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for hanging out with us. We have 2 games coming up tomorrow.
2?
One on YouTube. That is going to be Mr. Mark Perry playing a Monster Mash, Mortal Wound spam type of chaos list into John's Dark Angels.
My Dark Angels.
So, one of the recommendations we had in our How to Beat Dark Angels was Mortal Spam. Let's see if Mark can do it with Chaos.
I'm excited to find out.
And then that night, we are going to have my Necrons, the Immortal build that I've been working on, into Mr. Nick Nanavati's Death Guard, his latest variation. So,
Yeah, right on.
2 really hard-hitting games in the War Room. And then coming up next week, we're going to have some more exciting matchups.
All right.
If we want to spoil those.
Well, let's give at least one of them.
We're going to be bringing back the Shield Wall.
Bringing back hashtag Shield Wall,
The Shield
folks.
Wall's coming
Shield
back.
Wall's coming
We're
back.
going to see it on YouTube, and we're going to see if it can take down.
Yep, that's coming
another
next
competitive
Thursday, but a lot of good games coming up. Hopefully you're here to watch them.
Yep. So thanks so much for hanging out, and we will see you hopefully tomorrow.
All right. Bye.